No,
Dude, I love Jack and the Beanstalk. I love Jack and the Beanstalk. For some reason, I don't know why. Especially the movie
okay,
Jack,
so
the
Cinderella
Giant Slayer.
or
That's a good
Jack
fucking
and the
movie.
Beanstalk.
Yeah, that was so fucking nice. Oh my god,
So
it
you
was
want
such a good movie. I love that
me
movie.
to read Jack and the Beanstalk?
No, it's called Jack the Giant Slayer.
I know that one, but you want me to read more or
I mean, do you want to read more?
Snow White, Cinderella? I think this one is the last one. Okay, is it Cinderella or Jack and the Beanstalk?
Wait, do that again.
Okay.
Which one? Come on, vote. Cinderella, okay. Okay, oh, it's pretty. Oh, that lies. Okay. Okay. Starting. Excuse me. Once there was a gentleman. Again, once there was a gentleman who married for his second wife, the proudest and most haughty woman. Haughty?
Is that me?
I don't know, haughty woman that was ever seen. She had a former husband, two daughters of her own humor, who were indeed exactly like her in all things. He had likewise by another wife, a young daughter, but of unparalleled goodness and sweetness of temper, which she took from her mother, who was the best creature in the world. No sooner were the ceremonies of the wedding over, but the mother-in-law began to show herself in her true colors. She could not bear the good qualities of this pretty girl, and the less because they made her own daughters appear the more odious. She employed her in the meanest work of the house. She scoured the dishes, table, etc., and scrubbed Madam's chamber, and those of Mrs. her daughters. She lay up in a sorry garret upon the wretched straw bed, while her sisters lay in fine rooms, which floors all inlaid upon beds of the very newest fashion, and where they had looking glasses so large that they might see themselves at their full length from head to foot. The poor girl bore all patiently and dared not tell her father, who would have rattled her off, for his wife governed him entirely. When she had done her work, she used to go into the chimney corner and sit down among cinders and ashes, which wasn't her commonly be called Cinder Wench, but the youngest, who was not so rude and uncivil as the eldest, called her Cinderella. However, Cinderella, notwithstanding her mean apparel, was 100 times handsomer than her sisters, though they were always dressed very richly. It happened that the king's son gave a ball. I don't know where they say Cinderella and something. Okay. It happened the king's son gave a ball, and invited all persons of fashion to it. Our young Mrs. Worth also invited, for they cut a very grand figure among the quality. They were mightily delighted at this invitation, and wonderfully busy in choosing out such gowns, petticoats, and head clothes as might become them. This was a new trouble to Cinderella, for it was she who ironed her sister's linen and plaited their ruffles. They talked all day long and nothing but how they should be dressed. For my part, said the eldest, I will wear my red velvet suit with French trimming. And I, said the youngest, shall have my usual petticoat But then, to make amends for that, I will put my gold-flowered mantle and my diamond stomacher, which is far from being the most ordinary one in the world. They sent for the best tire woman they could to get to make up their headdresses and adjust their double pinners. And they had their red brushes and patches from Mademoiselle de la Fouche. I don't know how to say it in French, but what the heck. Cinderella was likewise called up to them to be consulted in all these matters. For she had excellent notions and advised them always for the best. Nay, and offered services to dress their heads, which they were very willing that she should do. As she was doing this, they said to her, "Cinderella, would you not be glad to go to the ball?" "Alas," said she, "you only cheer me. It is not for such as I am to go thither. Thou art in the right of it," replied they. "It would make the people laugh to see Cinderwench at the ball."
Tapi kalau dia punya UI tak sama
Anyone
dengan
but
aku punya
Cinderella
YouTube,
would have
aku punya
dressed
UI.
their
So,
heads
macam
awry,
macam mana aku nak
but
bring
she
ni,
was very
ni.
good
Ya,
and
itu.
dressed them
So, benda dia
perfectly
kena-
while
dia
they
kena
were
ikut
almost
tak
2
sama
days
dia
without
ikut. So, aku
eating.
kena bring sini.
So much
And
were
macam mana
they
dia punya
transported
benda tu,
with
so aku
joy.
percaya sesa.
They broke
So, it's
above
taking
a
like 1
dozen
hour to
laces
2
in
minutes.
trying to be laced
Aku
up
macam,
close,
tu
that
aku
they
tak
might
jumpa game macam mana nak
have
wandakan
a
mata
fine
aku.
slender shape, and they were continually at their looking glass. At last the happy day came. They went to court, and Cinderella followed them with her eyes as sly as she could, and when she had lost sight of them, she fell a crying. Her godmother, who saw her all in tears, asked her what was the matter. "I wish I could. I wish I could." She was not able to speak the rest, be interrupted by tears and sobbing. This this godmother of hers, who was a fairy, said to her, "Thou wishes thou couldst go to the ball, is it not so?" What kind of English is this? Is this?
Apabila kau pakai avatar PC.
"Thou wishest thou couldst go to the ball, is it not so?" "Yes," cried Cinderella with a great sigh.
Rambut aku tahu lah warna
"Well,"
mati
said
aku
her
tahu.
godmother,
Aku macam nak kena tukar
"but be a good girl, and I will contrive that thou shalt go." Then she took her into her chamber and said to her, "Run into the garden and bring me a pumpkin." Cinderella went immediately to gather the finest she could get and brought it to her godmother, not being able to imagine how this pumpkin could make her go to the ball. Her godmother scooped out all the inside of it, having left nothing but the rind. Which done, she struck it with her wand,
Aku nak cari yang warna
and the
merah.
pumpkin was instantly turned into a fine
Sebab aku
coach,
struggle nak pakai
gilded
baju
all
macam mana
over
tadi.
with gold. She then went to look into her mousetrap, where she found 6 mice, all alive, and ordered Cinderella to lift up a little the trapdoor. When giving each mouse as it went out a little tap with her wand, the mouse was that moment turned into a fine horse, which altogether made a very fine set of 6 horses of a beautiful mouse-colored dapple gray. Being at the loss for a coachman, "Go and see," says Cinderella. "If there is never a rat in the rat trap, we may make a coachman of him." "Thou art in the right," replied her godmother. "Go and look." Cinderella brought the trap to her, and in it there were 3 huge rats. The fairy made choice of one of the 3 which had the largest beard, and having touched him with her wand, he was turned into a fat, jolly coachman who had the smartest whiskers eyes ever beheld. After that, that, she said to her, "Go again into the garden, and you will find 60 lizards behind the watering pot. Bring them to me." She had no sooner done so, but her godmother turned them into 6 footmen who skipped up immediately behind the coach with their liveries all bedaubed with gold and silver, and clung as close behind each other as if they had done nothing else their whole lives. The fairy then said to Cinderella, "Neither am I. Well, you see here an equipage fit to go to the ball with. Are you not pleased with it?" "Oh, yes," cried she, "but must I go thither as I am in these nasty rags?" Her godmother only just touched her with her wand, and at the same instant, her clothes were turned into cloth of gold and silver, all beset with jewels. This done, she gave her pair of glass slippers, the prettiest in the whole world. Being thus decked out, she got out into her coach, for her godmother, above all things, commanded her not to stay till after midnight, telling her at the same time that if she stayed one moment longer, the coach would be a pumpkin again, her horses mice, her coachman a rat, her footmen lizards, and her clothes becomes as they were before. She promised her godmother she would not fail of leaving the ball before midnight. And then away she drives, scarce able to contain herself for joy. The king's son, who was told that a great princess, whom nobody knew, was come, ran out to receive her. He gave her his hand, and she alighted out of the coach and led her into the ball. Among all the company, there was immediately a profound silence. They left off dancing, and the violin ceased to play, so attentive was everyone to contemplate the singular beauties of the unknown newcomer. Nothing was then heard but a confused noise of, "How handsome she is! How handsome she is!" The king himself, old as he was, could not help watching her, and telling the queen softly that it was a long time since he had seen so beautiful and lovely a creature. All the ladies were busied in considering her clothes and headdress, that they might have some made next day after the same pattern, provided. Oh my god, it's still long though. I cannot read it. It's too long.
Salah.
Yeah.
IVAL.
I mean, we just watched the Disney movies and pwede din ba pun. Yeah, bro, it's like an hour, but at least it's a moving picture.
Kat dalam Malaysia ni. Ya, kau tahu dia dengan Cino.
I Miss 20 is a story. Probably we'll live here on 80s, 1780s. We hear stories. We'll be like watching a movie.
Cino, kau tak contact dia?
Aku ada dua pilihan. Aku ada dua pilihan sekarang ni. Sama ada aku nak 8 tracker atau aku nak 6 tracker. Tapi dalam kepala otak aku kata aku nak 8 tracker. Tapi pilihan aku kata aku nak 6 tracker.
This one just skipped the torture part. I mean, just the original one, is it?
Sebab aku nak gerakkan kaki aku.
Yeah, they make it a happy ending.
I want to move it. So aku nak 8 tracker.
I mean, still, this is slightly brutal here, but it's not too brutal. Yo, boy, hello.
Tak accept aku punya ni. Terpaksa beli 6 tracker je lah.
Yes.
Oh, Ming. Okay, I'm traumatized right now. You'll be good.
You're traumatized now, I know. Yeah. For now.